The following program is the work of the broadcast students of the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Today on BCIT Magazine, one business expresses concern over New West construction.
Vancouver researchers use 3D printers to help cancer patients.
And a local fitness trainer becomes one of the first in BC to train those with Parkinson's. Hello and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Colton Davies.
And I'm Sophia Pirani. New Westminster's waterfront is about to get $1 million makeover. But as Emily Murray reports, one coffee shop is getting ready to endure the long months of construction instead of moving away.
This is Front Street. It's loud, full of trucks, and it's where this small coffee shop calls home. Owner Stephanie Vu opted to grow her business in New West for a number of reasons.
The general feel of New West, it's interesting, it's emerging and it's changing, but there's a lot of history which it's so rich and beautiful that kind of adds to everything.
Vu chose Front Street in particular because of its industrial look and feel, but all of that is about to change. The city has pledged over $11 million to renovate its waterfront area into a pedestrian-friendly hub called the Muse. The first steps of construction calls for the 6-month-long teardown of a 60-year-old parkade, a structure that Vu's coffee shop lives directly under.
Unfortunately, what's happened and why we're needing to renovate the eastern portion that we're retaining for parking is you can actually see some of the rebar coming through because the slab is so thin. So there's quite a bit of repair work to do.
But Vu and her lattes won't be going anywhere. Despite the inconvenient construction, she says the end result will be worth it.
We're just about to jump into the construction part of it, which I think will be, I mean, nobody wants to have to sit through construction around their business. So it's hard to know what that's going to look like, but we're going to deal with that. But once we get through it, I think it's going to be great.
Deconstruction of the parkade will begin on February 1st. Emily Murray in New Westminster for BCIT Magazine.
Our reporter Emily Murray joins us now. Emily, without the parkade, where are people supposed to park?
Well, starting January 25th, all hourly parking is going to be relocated to the newly refurbished eastern portion of the Front Street Parkade.
And when will this project be finished?
While the city didn't give me exact dates, they did inform me that they're hoping to have this done by July of 2016. So there's a possibility that the Muse could be up and running by this summer. Back to you.
Imagine a 3D printer that uses real cells and DNA instead of plastic to print. Thanks to 2 Vancouver doctors, 3D bioprinting used to help people with cancer will soon be a reality. Our reporter Estefania Duran has more on this innovative research that's a first in Canada.
When people think about 3D printing, they usually think about this. But 2 researchers in Vancouver are looking to print more than just plastic.
What we have is the actual printer with the same kind of concept, but rather than applying plastic or any other kind of material by layering, we're actually layering and mimicking the different components of our human organ, whether it's the muscle cell, blood vessel cell, or actual tumor cell.
Dr. Claudia Chavez Munoz says the main difference with the process involves what goes into the machine.
If you think about an inkjet system or a printer, that uses paper and ink, and then you can read whatever you print. Well, thinking about the same components, then the cartridges, instead of being filled with ink, they would be filled with cells.
The goal is to print real bladders and replicate a patient's cancer. Doctors could then try different treatments on the 3D printed bladder instead of on the patient. This could save patients from years of side effects and potentially save their lives.
You could take the tumor samples from the patient, right? You would amplify that and you can grow 1,000 of those, exactly the same as the one that the patient is carrying at that time. And then you can drug test them for all the different ones that you would consider, or even combinations of them. and see which one is the most effective. It reduces time, right, and eventually cost, but most importantly, it reduces the side effects.
Chavez Munoz and her team have been doing something similar using rat and pig bladders, but it's been extremely time-consuming. Once their new 3D bioprinter arrives, they'll be able to print hundreds at a time. She says bladder cancer is just the beginning and the future could lead to endless uses for their research. Estefania Duran in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
A new Westminster gym is offering a unique new exercise class. As Travis Prasad reports, the workouts are specially designed for people living with Parkinson's disease.
This probably looks like the average person's writing. But to Peter Gansky, it reminds him of the changes he's gone through.
I used to have very meticulous block writing and all of my writing, and now it's very sloppy and it's sometimes not even legible.
Gansky lives with Parkinson's disease. He says daily life can be a struggle.
You feel very, very weak and sluggish, and you shuffle a lot, and you have poor posture, and you generally just feel very, very poorly.
It's these feelings that Robin Merle of Zoosh Fitness Garage wants to change.
My main thing is for people to live a better quality life. They don't have to let Parkinson's control them. They get to control Parkinson's. We're going to bend forward.
Parkinson's weakens the nervous system and limits movement, but Merle says exercise helps to slow the progression.
If we can help change the brain and help make the brain healthier, their movements can become bigger and better. And flick those fingers once.
Similar classes do exist, but Merle's is the only one recognized by Parkinson's Society BC.
Down.
Exercise is critical to people living with Parkinson's. It has immediate effects on the brain and increases your mood and your movement. And so that's why Parkinson's Society British Columbia is dedicated to funding programs related to exercise.
It would be comforting to know that there's an exercise group that caters towards Parkinson's.
And there will be when the first workout takes place here next month. Travis Prasad in New Westminster for BCIT Magazine.
Flick.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, your next trip to the grocery store might cost you more.
And salons across Vancouver come together to raise funds for Syrian refugees.
A defining moment for me was when I finished my first internship and got lots of really great feedback from industry professionals.
I would have never imagined I'd be walking into the floors of TSN and thinking, I'm not a student anymore, I'm here to work.
I will be starting a job with an investigative news program in Toronto, and I'm really excited to see that grow into what will become, hopefully, my dream job.
BCIT Broadcast and Online Journalism, putting you to work.
Standby graphics, ready, camera one.
If you want to experience the fast-paced world of news.
Today on BCIT Magazine, striking.
Make magic on a movie set.
Frame.
And action. Or bring your creative ideas to life. BCIT's hands-on training will get you started. BCIT Television and Video Production. Your possibilities start here.
A plummeting Canadian dollar means prices for everyday goods are going up, including your groceries. Lena Tanahara has the story.
If you love to eat fresh produce like these bananas, then you're going to have to pay more for it.
As long as produce is being imported from either America or Mexico, with nothing coming locally, you could expect the price of fresh produce to continue to rise.
The drop in the Canadian dollar means importing potatoes and other vegetables is going to cost Canadians more.
So in the past, average high prices for lettuce in the winter, if it's imported from America or Mexico, usually is about $1.99. But this year we're paying at least $3.49, so it's almost double.
And according to this economist, the low Canadian dollar is here to stay.
It'll probably carry on at least another 18 months or so, unless there is And the government directly takes policy to try to push up the dollar, which I don't really expect to happen.
So what can the average consumer do?
Try eating frozen vegetables, like frozen fruits, but for fresh produce, it's gonna be pretty expensive for the next while.
But that doesn't seem to be an option for most Vancouverites.
I don't like canned and I don't really like frozen, so what I tend to do is just buy less. I was buying some asparagus and I couldn't believe how expensive it was, so I bought spinach instead.
I'll keep buying fresh, but there'll be some things like cauliflower I'll have to avoid and try to find things that are local.
So with the value of the Canadian dollar remaining low, you can expect fresh produce like this kale to keep climbing higher. Lena Tanahara in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
While worrying about prices, many people are also worried about maintaining a healthy diet in the new year. Our producer, Mitchell Flan, is now joined by chef Gianluca Rossi to give us some helpful healthy eating tips.
So today we're going to be doing a winter kale salad, and we're going to be doing a cauliflower and kale veggie taco to promote healthy eating for the new year. You know, we have black kale here, which is unbelievable super vegetable. We have Brussels sprouts, baby potatoes, we have some slivered almonds and some dehydrated cranberries. Awesome. So putting the potato and the Brussels sprouts down into the oven, and usually it'll take about 6 to 7 minutes to cook. Nice and warm, nicely caramelized. Okay, so now the technical part of the dish, we're going to plate this salad. Try and get as much of that goodness out of the bowl as you can. And then our last 3 steps. It's going to be our dry cranberries, our pickled red onions, and our Parmesan cheese. Next, we're going to do the cauliflower and kale tacos. Okay. So why don't I take you back to the prep hall, and we can go back there and execute from the burners.
Sounds good.
So we're going to be making the cauliflower and kale tacos now.
Okay, so what's this mixture we got here?
We added our garlic, our cauliflower, we sauteed that lightly, then our kale, our hot sauce, a dash of water to lightly wilt the kale, and our seasonings.
To complete the dish, Chef Russo added a citrus slaw, some avocado, and a sprinkle of cheese. When it was all said and done, the tacos were downright irresistible.
I can't wait any longer.
Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Let's do it. Cheers. Cheers.
Unreal. Absolutely delicious. Well, that's it for today. That's our cooking segment. I'm Mitchell Flan.
And I'm Gianluca Russo.
Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Mitch. 8 hair salons joined forces for the Vancouver Cut-a-thon, where all proceeds will benefit the Syrian refugees. My co-anchor Sophia Pirani went to Studio 209 to see how the initiative was going.
It was a special day here at Studio 209 as clients came in to get their hair done, all for a good cause. The Cut-a-thon, put together by the Vancouver hairstylist community, was an event where 8 participating salons joined forces to donate proceeds to the Syrian refugees.
Well, I brought it to our Vancouver hairstylist community on Facebook and said, hey, do you guys want to help out some refugees? And they said, abso-freaking-lutely, and so here we are, all 8 salons working together.
It's really exciting. It's a nice way to be doing 2 things at once, helping people look better and helping people get accustomed to Canada.
We have a lot of important causes in Vancouver, and I think this is one of them, so it was great to be able to get my hair cut and to support a good cause at the same time.
Chris Stevenson from the Immigration Services Society of BC said all proceeds from the Cut-a-thon will go towards a welcoming home.
So the Welcome House is again a refugee and immigrant support center for newcomers to Canada, so specifically government-assisted refugees and also immigrants. So it'll have an array of services from language support, settlement services, temporary housing units for government-assisted refugees when they first arrive in Canada, and also a lot of our staff, so we'll have about 100 staff will be on board as well. It's great to see that this group of 8 salons have come together to really, they want to do something, they want to help out, and to donate their proceeds for the day is just absolutely amazing.
The whole idea of the hairstylist community is to help each other, and I think that has spawned helping others, and if we can do that a little bit more sometime, that'd be awesome.
It was a successful day for a great cause. Sophia Pirani in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. One of the salons that took part was in North Vancouver. Chris Brentlinger Grant has more.
And because it's a cut-a-thon, it's a total bonus.
The cut-a-thon is also going on here at Joy Hair Salon in North Vancouver. On their website, Joy claims to be a fully philanthropic business. But what does that mean?
This salon was originally founded by and created with funds from the Bipolar Foundation, with the idea that 100% of profits would benefit the Bipolar Foundation. And I took over the salon in June of 2014, and I wanted to maintain that same philanthropic endeavor.
Her business was recruited just like the 7 others to participate by organizer Missy Clarkson.
This was an idea of the administrator of the Facebook page, and she put a call out to any salon that would like to participate, and we participate in as many events as we can. We've done cut-a-thons with other salons before, and so we jumped all over it.
The salon's using technology to make sure all the money raised goes straight to the Immigrant Services Society.
So all of the salons involved in this event today are collecting money through the Square application so that we can guarantee that 100% of all the proceeds collected today are being donated directly to the cause.
Customers like Ryan Phillips just happened to be in the neighborhood, but are happy to help.
I just think it's awesome that I was getting my hair cut anyways. It was just like almost like synergy, and it just so happened that she was having a cut-a-thon for the supporting towards the cause of the Syrian refugees.
The goal here at Joy is to raise over $500, and with haircuts going for $35, that means that the staff will only have to do 14 cuts all day to meet their goal. I've been told I need to clean up a bit, so I'm making that 13. Chris Brentlinger-Grant, North Vancouver, BCIT Magazine.
This week, our reporter Rana Sadai gives us a closer look at another nonprofit organization in Vancouver. She spoke with one person who shares what they're doing with Big Brothers to help make a difference in one boy's life.
I think when you think about what you're doing, it can seem a little bit nerve-wracking. We tend not to look at it as we're a role model to someone. I think a lot of Big Brothers look at it as a couple of hours to have fun each week, and you're not really in that moment seeing the importance that you have in a little's life. You're just there to have fun and have a really good time. It's only when you hear back from your little and you hear back from the mom, you realize what a difference you're making, and that's when you realize that you are a role model.
There's up to as many as 40,000 boys who are growing up in families where they really need an adult male role model, but that's not part of their life, and that's a really challenging thing for our organization because it's tough to find the resources. In 2006, we served 712 children in the course of the year. By 2015, we served 1,197 children in that year. In some areas, children are waiting up to 2 years for a Big Brother, and 2 years is too long in the life of a child.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine. Another trampoline park is opening in Metro Vancouver, but what exactly is it?
And how 2 BCIT students plan to take on the trip of a lifetime.
The most rewarding thing for me has been the relationships I developed in the program, both with instructors and classmates. My sense of confidence has never been higher. I mean, this program's offered great opportunities to be in real industry situations, and being in those moments and knowing I can contribute, I can do this.
It's exciting to be in this industry and to meet lots of great people and to make amazing friends.
BCIT Broadcast and Online Journalism, realizing your potential.
I chose BCIT because I know that all the programs are very hands-on. We have our own radio station. Like it's one of the best programs that I've ever heard of.
I am starting a job on Monday, so confidence is high.
Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be this fun.
If you're interested in the art of drink making, attend Mixology, the science of cocktails at TELUS World of Science on February 4th. All the proceeds from the event will be going to underfunded schools to help kids attend the TELUS World of Science as well.
For those hockey fans, check out the BMO Prospects game January 28th at the Pacific Coliseum.
You can see the top eligible NHL prospects for 2016 under coaches Bobby Orr and Don Cherry.
Head down to the TELUS World of Science to check out the new Red Bull Stratus exhibit, featuring the capsule and the spacesuit used by Felix Baumgartner in his world record-breaking jump from the stratosphere. That takes place on January 23rd to the 26th.
Thanks for watching. That was this week's Community Calendar.
There's a new form of entertainment popping up across the country. It's called a trampoline park, and as Travis Prasad tells us, the trend is growing in Metro Vancouver.
It's a ritual in many backyards. You take off your shoes and bounce around on the trampoline. And that's essentially what a trampoline park is, just a whole lot bigger.
I think the appeal is basically kind of reverting back to a child and just experiencing the joy of being weightless and having fun.
This Surrey trampoline park will be the third in the Lower Mainland. It's still under construction, so it's too early to measure its success. But management thinks it'll be a slam dunk.
The Lower Mainland has yet to be really tapped for this type of venue, and once people come and see this, I'm certain that there'll be more coming in the future.
While it seems obvious that children would jump at the chance of getting on these trampolines, adults might want to try hopping on as well.
You're working your legs quite a bit, and I know at the trampoline park they play a lot of games and stuff like that. So there's going to be a cardio aspect to it as well. The next day you're going to wake up with sore legs and you'll have worked pretty hard cardio-wise.
O'Neill says this park will have enough space for both beginner bouncers and the more advanced.
It's for people of all ages. As soon as they can walk, they can jump. That's our mantra. And anybody of all ages and any skill level can come and have something to enjoy.
So feel free to do those synchronized off-the-wall backflips. Travis Prasad in Surrey for BCIT Magazine.
Travis Prasad joins us live now. So Travis, can we expect to see more parks like this opening in Metro Vancouver?
Yeah, well, Cody O'Neill definitely seemed to think so. He said the hardest part is finding a location that's big enough to house a trampoline park, but the demand, he says, is there.
Dozens of people jumping around on trampolines sounds fun, but also chaotic. So how safe are these trampoline parks?
This particular location will have court monitors. These are employees whose only job is to make sure people are jumping responsibly. O'Neill went as far as to say his trampoline park will be as safe as a golf course. Back to you.
A Vancouver-based photographer is finding success in the business despite one glaring factor, his young age. My co-anchor Colton Davies has more.
Meet Isaac Ray. For him, this shoot in Gastown is just another day at work as a photographer.
Okay, so just make sure you're right in front of the door there, Antonio. But then it's my own stuff is what I'm really gunning to do. So it's fashion photography, portrait, landscape, really anything under the sun that involves my camera.
And some of his own stuff already includes work with Vogue and other renowned companies. Ray began shooting weddings when he was only 18, something not exactly usual for someone so young.
Over. It's not so bad now that I'm in my 20s, it doesn't sound as bad, but like when I was starting weddings, I was 18 and 19 years old, and you're sitting down with a couple, you're talking to them, like, so just out of curiosity, like, how old are you? And when you say 18 or 19, their jaw just drops.
One BCIT expert is familiar with this potential setback for young people like Ray.
There's definitely a lot of barriers. Often, photographers have to start their own businesses, and so they're out there finding their own work. I think it's very rare that you find full-time, long-term photography positions.
And how about the expensive gear?
I've saved my money from shoots to be able to afford nice stuff, but it was definitely a struggle at the beginning. There's the money aspect of it, but that's also something I have to look at as not a limitation, because there's the saying, it's not the gear, it's the photographer.
Despite having this against him, Ray feels good about what he's accomplished in his young career.
How many people I've seen try to get into photography and just not make it. So I'm like super grateful to be where I am.
And why does Ray pursue photography?
I gotta do what I love. It's as simple as that. Like every day, like I gotta wake up and go do a job I love. I really want to be able to continue doing what I'm doing because I'm loving it, and it seems to be going pretty well so far.
Colton Davies in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
2 BCIT students are using old technology to give themselves a new advantage as they prepare for a 21-country rally race. Luke Farman has the story.
Imagine driving halfway across the planet in the worst car you can find. BCIT mechanical engineering students Nick Hovey and Cole Thompson plan to do just that.
Within the next year or so, Nick and I are hoping of doing what's called the Mongol Rally, which is a drive from London, England, all the way to Ulan-Ude in Russia. The whole purpose of it is to purchase or acquire a very low performance car and hope for the best in making it all the way to Russia. Near frictionless.
Using their education, the boys are designing a device which will make the difficult drive just a little bit easier.
So essentially, we're taking a big wind turbine like the one that you see on Grouse Mountain and condensing it into something really small, like 2 to 3 inches, so that we can use it as something that would charge a phone or a GoPro or a camera.
They want to make the device because they know they will need a lot of electronics on their journey, and access to power will be limited.
So the hope for this turbine device that we're making is that we could actually bring it on the trip, attach to the car somehow, and be able to power and charge all of our equipment, which we're using for documenting the trip, along with having quite a social media impact on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing.
But their hopes for the device go beyond just this one journey the two of them plan to take.
With the vast array of electronics that people are carrying around every day now, and the want, the need to power these with some sort of renewable or clean energy, we're really hoping that this device could solve that sometime in the future.
Whether or not the device has any long-term impacts is difficult to know, but the boys can be sure that this device will at least keep their electronics powered as they drive off into the sunset on the journey of a lifetime. Luke Farman in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
The 2016 NHL All-Star Game is set to take place in Nashville next weekend. Daniel Sedin will be the only player representing the Vancouver Canucks. Daniel leads Vancouver through 47 games with 19 goals and 41 points, good for 15th in NHL scoring.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitbroadcastnews.ca.
That's this week's BCIT Magazine. Thanks for watching. I'm Colton Davies.
And I'm Sophia Pirani. We now leave you with footage from the trampoline park in Surrey.